Now I'm playing root, and major seventh, and then ninth and third. Oh, why don't I play like?
Konnichiwa สวัสดีครับ
Sorry, Cobb.
Nice to have you here in Thailand. We waiting for you for a long time. Nobuki San.
Thank you so much for having me here.
สวัสดีท่านผู้ชมนะครับวันนี้ผมอยู่กับสุดยอดมือกีตาร์นะครับที่แม้แต่ว่าค่ายแจ๊สหลายสำนัก All About Jazz หรือว่า LA Jazz Scene นะครับต่างยกย่องอาจารย์โนบุกิซังนะครับเซนไซว่าเป็นมือกีตาร์ขึ้นลูกใหม่นะครับของวงการแจ๊สญี่ปุ่นนะครับวันนี้นะครับเดี๋ยวเราลองมาคุยกันว่าความสุดยอดของอาจารย์โนบุกินะครับจะขนาดไหนนะครับโอเค first of all for the first one please tell me your music background how do you start to play guitar
Yeah, so I started playing the guitar when I was 14 years old. Before then, I was really into gymnastics. Yes. And actually, I was a champion in Hiroshima. When I was 13 years old, I had a really bad accident and I broke the bones. And I was practicing gymnastics, but because of the injury, I wasn't really good, right? I mean, like I could practice, but I couldn't do what I used to do, what I used to be able to do, right? So my kind of, passion for gymnastics eventually kind of, became like a passion for music. But the reason why I started playing the guitar was Simon and Garfunkel. My mom bought a CD player and she actually bought one of the compilation albums by Simon and Garfunkel. And as soon as I heard Sound of Silence, so that's when I'm like, oh wow, I have to play this instrument. So that was the reason. And I started, that was actually when I was 14 years old. And I practiced gymnastics during the day. And after gymnastic practice, I would go home and practice guitar. I did that about 1 year, I think. But, eventually I stopped gymnastics and I started playing, the guitar. When I was a high school student, I started my first band. And playing we played Van Halen, wow, Extreme,
in maybe 90s.
90s, yes, 90s. Mr. Big, Yngwie Malmsteen, and also I was really into Loudness, really great Japanese heavy metal.
Akira Takasaki.
He's my.
He's so amazing guy.
And so that's pretty much how I got into playing the guitar. I was actually also playing blues because the first guitar solo that I learned was on Eric Clapton's Cream. Crossroads by Cream. And I was playing blues and rock and also heavy metal with the band. But pretty much that's what I used to do.
I'm so wondering about you start from the rock and roll, like heavy metal, as we know, the heavy metal and rock and roll is very famous in Japan at that times. And why you turn to jazz? Is something like a black or white? That's right. So like I said, I was playing blues and heavy metal, rock. Okay, blue and rock and roll is similar style.
Yes.
When you play like a bending, like a
So and then also when you play blues, you improvise over 12 bars. So that was improvisation is something that made me started playing jazz. When I was playing blues or heavy metal, I could just maybe improvise a little bit. But when it comes to songs with different chord progressions, I couldn't really do it. And one of my friends told me that, hey, if we want to improvise over any songs, you should start playing jazz.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the main key.
Yeah, but the thing is though, I didn't love it in the beginning. I was doing more just studying and got some books and, I read about it. And also I bought my first jazz record. I think that was Boss Guitar by Wes Montgomery.
Wes Montgomery.
Yeah, but I didn't like
really beautiful.
Yeah, but the sound is old, right? Sound old, and then I really didn't get it. And but the thing is, after a couple of years, I got to listen to Pat Martino and Grant Green.
Which album?
Exit.
Okay, Exit. Wow.
Yeah. And Grant Green, Grant's first stand, I think. And as soon as I kind of heard, these two albums, I'm like, oh wow, this is great. And those, like those are just like amazing jazz albums, right? And then after I got into Pat Martino and Grant Green, and then listening back to Wes Montgomery, I'm like, oh wow, this is great. Because I think Pat and Grant had the similar language as Wes Montgomery. So and then after that, just I became so into playing jazz.
When you play rock and roll and heavy metal, when you count in the songs to play is so different from jazz style. So in jazz style, we always count 2 and 4. How did you get 2 and 4? How is it's so hard for the beginner?
Yeah, that's true, but I think that's one of the things that a lot of jazz beginners kind of misunderstand about rhythm of jazz, like 2 and 4, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. But it's more like
okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It sounds like it's accent, and the accents are on second beat and the fourth beat because it sounds high, but it all started out with stomp, clap, stomp, clap, stomp, clap, stomp, clap, stomp, clap. And I think, this is for everything, like blues, jazz, rock, and, like for anything, like da, 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 or like on, tune, on, tune, on, tune, on, like that, dun, dun, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, but now that you asked me this question, so I think I had a hard time kind of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But since I realized that it's more like this, it became easier.
Yeah. And how about the jazz language? How did you get into this? It's very hard when you want to improvise.
Yeah, that was really difficult. I'm still working on it, but it's all about listening
and transcribe.
Transcribe, a lot of transcribing, lots of listening, because there are a lot of phrases on the instructional books that I got in the beginning, but I don't remember them because it was from the book. But when you listen to it, you will remember them, right? So I think really the key is not only jazz but also any kinds of music. You just have to love it, and then you just have to listen to it.
So I'm so jealous you very much. You live in Japan. There is a lot of information for the music.
Yeah, that's right.
As you mentioned, you come from the Hiroshima.
Yeah.
How about the jazz scene or music scene in Hiroshima? How is different from the Tokyo or Osaka? At those times.
Let me see. I mean, I only get to go to Japan once a year because I live in New York. So based on what I have seen over the years, there are always great players. Everywhere you go. Osaka, there are a lot of great players. Hiroshima too. But the Tokyo is the biggest city, so there are more, there are lots of musicians, and they are great. That's like Tokyo. Like Tokyo is like almost like the center of, center in Japan. But when you go to Osaka, I feel like there are more jazz musicians than the number of jazz musicians in Hiroshima. Because Hiroshima is not, it's a big city, but it's not as big as Osaka. So there are great musicians both everywhere, but it's like Tokyo, Osaka, and then Hiroshima. And not so many. First of all, like number of musicians are not, a lot, right? So I don't know, but not from Tokyo, they think that someday I will go to Tokyo, or like, oh, Tokyo is a great place. I've been there, that's my impression. But when you ask this question to somebody else, they may say something different. Yeah.
But I just want to know about back to those era when you grow up in Hiroshima, or do you start to play jazz? How did you find the jazz player, like a bass, like a drummer, like a
in
Hiroshima?
Actually, I grew up in Hiroshima, and then I moved to Tokyo when I was 18 years old after graduating from high school. I knew some things about Hiroshima, but I spent more time in Tokyo. And then When I was 22, I came to the States.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the next question.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's why I didn't know any musicians.
Okay. For the next, why you choose USA to learn jazz music?
I decided to study at Berklee College of Music after the trip to the United States. When I was maybe 21 years old, 20 years old, I think. So I decided to get a monthly pass. I went to LA first, took the train from LA to New Orleans, New Orleans to New York, Chicago, Seattle, Oregon, and then Utah. And then, I'll got back to LA. So I did actually the whole trip, round trip in the United States. And then the reason for that is music. I love music from the States, so decided to do that trip. But during that trip, I got a really nice instructional book. It's called The Style of Talfaro by a great guitarist and composer and educator, Steve Rochinski. So he was the writer of that book. And since I read that book, and I decided to study at Berklee because that's where that's where Steve was teaching.
How about the Berklee when back to the Dot era? When you start to learn at the Berklee, how do you feel? It's wow, it's so amazing. So many great players.
When I started studying at Berklee, at the age of 23, 24, there were so many great players, and I'm like, so why they're being student? They sounded amazing already, and then what's the point for them to come to the school? But so I felt like I'm way behind. Yeah, so that's why I stopped drinking. I love drinking, but for that period of time, sake, beer, whiskey, but I stopped drinking because I'm like,
and turned to practice about
I practiced a lot, and I transcribed 100 solos.
Wow.
Yeah, that was one of my goals, and I practiced a lot. But going back to your question, I'm like, wow, how can I graduate?
Which jazz songs for the jazz guitar solo in any song that you think about? Wow, it's really hard in your life, really hard.
You mean like to play?
To transcribe?
Pretty much everything was difficult to me. Like I transcribed Wes Montgomery, Grant Green, Pat Martino. Like each one was kind of like my little step, And I transcribed this. Now I got better, but when I transcribe the next one, it's difficult.
So at the time it's really hard because you can slow the tempo, you can slow everything like at the present day. It's really hard. Everything by ear.
Yeah, by ear. Yeah. But good thing about actually learning by ear is like when you learn it by ear, you can kind of slow down, in mind. Right? Because it's not about getting all the notes right and playing with them. That's one way to learn it. But it's more like you just listen to it and then memorize them. Just kind of observe, like food. You just eat and then just taste it. Yeah, so that's how I take it.
Okay, as we know, you have a chance to learn with Shirley Bailey.
Yeah.
How do you feel? What happened about this?
I was just lucky, she's so amazing. Teaching. Yeah, she was teaching, and I got to see her playing, and I'm like, oh wow, this is great. And she was amazing, like great teacher. I got to study with her for 2 semesters, and when after I moved to New York, not many times, but we had a session at her place, drums, bass, and 2 guitars. Yeah, and then she's always like, she always encouraged, me to do, try something, and she's great. She's a wonderful player, and then she's just a wonderful person.
What is the most important thing that you learn from
Tone? Yeah.
Tone and Be Bop Line.
You know what? Actually, she hard phrasing and tones amazing, and she's got amazing lines and stuff. But when I was studying with her, she would say your tone is your business card. We worked on a lot of things about accent and like say just play chromatic scale, but so that you can kind of
wave.
Yeah. So that you can kind of almost like play the guitar as if you were speaking, you're talking.
Okay. After you finish from the Berklee or something like this, launch out your own album, your own album,
Yeah.
own original songs.
Yeah.
Okay, back to 207 for the first album. Boo, like a cow, like
Yeah.
blues. What happened about this album? What is the concept behind this album?
First of all, thanks so much for checking my album. It's great. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
I didn't have any plan to record my album. The reason why I decided to make an album was because of my first tour in Japan. After graduated from Berklee in 2004, I moved to New York, and a couple of months later, I flew back to Japan to do my first tour with musicians whom I met in at Berklee, and we just played original music by the band members. So they mostly played my originals, but we played originals by my friend saxophone player and the bass player. So we were playing our original music, in different places in Japan, and a lot of people asked me, do you guys have like CD? And we don't have, we don't have a CD. So I'm like, okay, so why don't I just do a recording? And then that's the reason why.
Okay.
So basically, except a couple songs, I wrote all the songs, but two or three songs at Berklee. Yeah.
Okay, when I listen to this album, I feel there is a lot of the various style, 3/4, like a swing feel, acoustic, is cover everything. So this question is about when jazz guitar player or jazz musician, when they want to make their own album, someone want to, okay, I just want to play in one style, but it's so different from you.
Okay.
So you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's really a good question. I tried to have something a little different, to each song, I guess. And also, like when I write, I always have someone in mind, like musicians that I respect in mind. So when I play acoustic kind of sound, I love Paul Simon and James Taylor.
Okay.
When I play swing, I always love the Art Blakey and Jazz Messengers and John Coltrane, Miles Davis, and Thelonious Monk. So musicians in mind.
Okay.
Just to pay my respect.
It's like something like you tribute to.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because I learned so much from them. So like now is my time to show them.
Okay.
This is what I got.
This is a very good philosophy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So I love in this album. I love the melody line in 14:1.
Oh wow. Yeah. Thanks.
It was so amazing. Be Bop Line.
No. Do you play pool?
Oh yeah. I play pool.
Yeah. So you know the game 14-1, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's
Yes.
from there.
Yeah. It's about my passion for playing pool.
You launched out the album live at the Iridium Jazz Club, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and we will talk for the live section for the next. Okay, and after that, next album from now on 2008.
2008. Yes.
Everything changed.
Think so?
Yeah, I think it. Your concept album, your composition changed. When I listen to this album, I feel the ECM style or European style, jazz style.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that. What happened with your composition? It's different from the first album.
I write songs and just play with my favorite musicians and just try to come up with a great arrangement. And
so I feel Pat Metheny style, Bill Frisell style, like you mix a little folk music.
Okay.
Right.
I think so. Yeah. I actually, now that I love, Bill Frisell and Pat Metheny, but back then I didn't really listen to them. But I listened to like James Taylor, Paul Simon, a lot of
folk and country.
Yeah. So maybe that might be
one thing I feel about chord progression. You change a lot. Next album, 3 Wishes. How about the concept? Because
3 Wishes.
Yeah. You mix like something like a post bop, like a swing jazz, is so different from previous.
Wow, you really listened to my album. Thanks so much. Yeah. So the title track, Three Wishes. That's a name of a book. It's by Panaunica. There is a lady who supported the jazz community. Like, you know, she supported like a lot of musicians like Thelonious Monk and, you know, a lot of musicians. Yeah, Panaunica, right? Yeah, so she would ask questions like, what would be your three wishes? And to all the jazz musicians, you know, she hang out.
Okay.
And then that's a book about kind of, you know, collection of.
If someone wants to ask you about three wishes for you, for the jazz music.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, so that was the concept.
Okay.
Yeah, so that going back to just the question, I wanted to pay my respect to, you know, Thelonious Monk and, you know, again, you know, John Coltrane, the Art Blakey and Jazz Messengers.
Okay, that's why you have the composition like a modern jazz.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I feel it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I love the song, I'm not sure how to spell Saka Love Fair. I feel John Coltrane's style.
Okay, that's actually, that's a cover. I think I know, that's like one of the few covers that I did on my albums. I just love the song and I love the melody, so I decided to play it. But, you know, I wanted to make it, just like John Coltrane, you know, My Favorite Things, you know.
Yeah. This is the same chord progression.
Similar, yes.
Similar. Okay, another one song I love, A Long Way Ahead. I love the interval melody line.
Nice.
So, you know, I transcribe
Oh,
this
wow.
song.
Right. I used to tour in Canada every spring, like June, July. For the longest time, I wrote that song based on a highway in Canada. It's a really long way.
Drive a car.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, long way ahead. You know. That's why I wrote that song. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Thanks.
For the next, I love this album very much. Solo album.
Oh wow! Thank you.
It's so amazing about this solo guitar. You launched 2014.
Yeah.
How about the concept and how about the composition? Because when I listen to this album, I feel that you seem like you play the piano on the guitar and you play something like a shell chord and triad. It's not the tension chord. I'm not sure you don't play the tension chord so much, right?
Yeah. For that album, I think, you know, I didn't play like a lot of tensions because I think, you know, the songs that I wrote for the album, you know, didn't ask me to play that. But, you know, quite often, you know, when I play with piano player or like somebody else, you know, they may be playing tension, so I feel like I don't have to play.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very beautiful playing. First of all, do you have the way to control the dynamic when you play the chord melody? It's really hard for the beginner.
That's right. But you know, it's very simple. You just have to play the melody harder and chords, you know, softer. Or like you can do the other way. You can do the so like let me just demonstrate.
Okay.
You know, like say, you know, you just. You just play the melody, you know, harder so that, you know, everybody can hear. Or you can actually do, you know, play the melody at the end. So you can kind of like say, like harmonize, like this is like a, you know, kind of conventional C chord, right? So it sounds like da, da, da. That's what you hear. But you know, if you go the other way, now you hear da, 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 right? So you can play the melody harder and chords softer, or use the direction of the strumming to change it up. But you know, it's very simple. You just have to play the melody harder.
One song, Someday. I love the half harmonic technique.
Okay.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, thanks Chet Atkins. Like, Chet Atkins is great. I mean, he's really inspiration.
It reminds me to the Lenny Bro.
Yes, you know, Lenny too. And you should check, you know, Russell Malone. He is really amazing when it comes. I mean, like for everything, but you know.
Tough Follow too.
Yeah.
For the song Blues for Lyle is something like a similar chord progression, similar like a willow weave for me, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, it's got bluesy kind of feel to it, right? Can you guess who Riley is? So this is a song called like a blues for Riley. So the Riley is I think a real name for B.B. King. So I composed this song after he passed away because I didn't want to say blues for B.B. It's like kind of too much, right? Yeah.
You just want something different from.
Yeah.
Okay, another song, All Wall.
Okay.
Is something like All the Thing You Are.
Yes. Yeah.
It's very, very beautiful playing.
Oh, thanks so much.
How about the concept that you play for the improvise in these songs?
That's a good question because
so because you start from the solo line, it's not a melody line.
Yeah. When you play by yourself, like a solo guitar, right? You are the one that kind of keeps making statement, like a musical statement. So when I improvise, I used to think like, okay, so what do I do? But the more I play solo guitar, the more I realize how important it is to feel somebody's playing with me. So like say. Right? So that's the melody. And you kind of have to feel. So that.
Okay, it's something that there is some space.
But feel like okay, somebody's comping for me. That's always what I kind of try to feel, and that's pretty much how I improvise by myself.
Okay, another song I love very much from now on. It's something like old school jazz. It remind me when I start to play jazz in the early day, when I want to practice walking bass line and something like it. Yeah. Really beautiful.
Oh, thank you. That was a really tough one because I wanted to do something different for like each song, right? For that one, I made myself to improvise as I keep the bass line going, just like you said, kind of walking bass line. Sometimes it could be just root and fifth. That was really challenging for me, but somehow I did it.
For the next, the Nobuki Takamen trio.
Yeah.
Love this because the sound is very excellent when you recording this album.
Thanks so much.
How about the concept for playing trio or for the normally you love to play trio?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Why this album?
That album, the Nobuki Takamen Trio, I recorded that album a day after the last performance of my Japan tour, 2016, I would say, or it could be 2015.
This album launched out 2018.
2018, yeah. So that means I recorded in 2017. I just love playing with these guys. Toshiyuki Tanahashi, bass player, and Naoki Aikawa on the drums. I've been touring with them for many years. So every time I go back to Japan, I get to play with them. So every performance is very special. But when I recorded that album, I wanted to make the recording sound like what if we have one more concert. That was my kind of attitude towards this recording, because like we had like really intense tour in Japan. I think I played like maybe 20 shows or like something in less than a month. It was very, very intense. I think I was young, so I could just do that. But anyway, so you could easily do something that sounded good, during the tour. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I know we can do this because it sounds good. We did this, we did that, during the tour. So why don't I do that, in the recording? But when I did the recording with them, I wanted to make like, no, forget about what we did, during the tour, and then let's just play, from scratch.
When I listen to this album, when I close my eye and feel, oh wow, Nobuki sang over there, and like something like you play live music as you mentioned.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I feel it.
I think this is something to do with that sound quality or like how you felt. But I recorded Nobuki Takamen Trio with a tape recorder. And
for the composition, it's so different from the previous. It's really modern style. The one song I love, the vibe very much. Helsinki Sky.
Oh, thank you.
It's something like a Latin group.
Yeah.
And I love the cliche line in the it's nearly ending. I love your playing a chord like a cliche.
It came out really interestingly because when I was touring in Finland, 2017, I believe it's after the last concert in Helsinki. I was tired and I was jet lagged, right? But I was tired, but this melody came to my mind, and I just wrote it down. Totally forgot about it. And a couple months later, I opened my guitar case and I found a manuscript paper with the melody, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, so this is the one that I wrote in Finland. And the melody goes like this, right?
Yeah.
Very simple. But I couldn't do anything, it didn't really lead me to anywhere. One day, when I focused on the bass line, like everything kind of came kind of together, and then the one part goes into. And then it keeps going, and it became a song.
Okay, one thing that you love to play very much, you always mix the open string.
Yeah.
In your playing.
Yeah.
About your concept, about this.
I took 2 lessons from Gene Bertenstein. Like he's like one of the best, the most like one and only, jazz guitarist, of all, When I studied with him, tried to use open strings if it's possible, Just like so this is like F7 that everybody plays, but when you add open strings, now it turns into a sharp 11 chord, or like, you may play C major 7 like this. But why don't you add more open strings? Because that gives you different color.
It's really wide.
That's right. When I started out, I'm like, okay, C major 7, C major 7.
Yeah.
But I was actually I didn't really try to explore.
Okay. So if someone wants to play something like this, try to start from the C chord and find another form. So find the wallet form or the neck guitar.
Yeah. So you can. I have actually a bunch of notes with like, okay, so how can I use open E string, and then to play C chord?
Okay. For E, that's the top note.
Top note,
okay.
Yeah. Or like, how can I add B? Right?
Okay. Wow.
Now I'm playing root, and major 7th, and then 9th and 3rd. Oh, why don't I play like? Yeah. And if I like it, I can do it. But if I don't like it, maybe just leave it.
Okay.
So. It's different.
At sharp 11.
You can do you can do sharp 11, like say sharp 11.
Okay.
Sharp 11, maybe.
And E on top note.
Yeah. This is my C major 7 sharp 11.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then I don't know like when I can use it, but just the fact that I know that's also available. Maybe like for some songs.
Okay.
I can use this sharp 11.
So you used this style in your song very much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like a solo guitar too.
Yeah. Your latest album, Life Is Now, 2020. How about the concept? Because I feel your composition is in like a modern jazz style and New York jazz in the present day, right?
Yeah.
And something like a more folk, like a Julian Last or Biffy. I feel it.
Thanks for saying that. But like I said, I don't listen to a lot of Bill Frisell and Julian Lage. They are great.
Yeah,
I've been to their concerts many times. But when I write, I try to focus on what's true to myself, like try to come up with a melody that sounds like true to myself. So and then I guess it comes down to my musical background.
As you mentioned, like Alan Garfunkel.
Simon and Garfunkel. And also, I grew up in a situation where I could listen to music with cassette tape.
Me too.
Oh, you too? Okay.
I still have.
You look so young though.
No.
Okay, so cassette tape, CD. Like when CD came out, I'm like, wow, CD is great. So that's my background. So nowadays, a lot of people have access to different music, right? That might be something that they just listen because it's from the playlist or something. Yeah, I mean, it comes down to like what I have been listening to, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, we have two more album about the live album, like such as live at Iridium and live in Japan. When you want to recording the live album, how did you prepare yourself? Because everything is so mass, like wow, it will happen suddenly. It will. How I choose to prepare yourself, how I choose to prepare myself, and my team and so many things.
That's right. So for the first live album, like live at the Iridium, and the second live album, live in Japan, I recorded like two different ways. So the live at the Iridium, I had an amazing recording team. One of them is Katsu Naito. He did actually, recording for John Scofield at Blue Note. So he's, really, famous among musicians for like live recording because he has recording equipment, live recording equipment. So I had him, and there's on top of everything, they had mics, like two mics, and then one lying out just in case something happens. And we had. Two recordings going to the whole thing because something could happen, right? So because they took care of us so well that we didn't really think about we are doing right, live recording. Yes, of course, like I felt like we are doing recording, but there was no pressure on that part, right? But the second recording live in Japan, I got Zoom H6. It's a handy recorder, where you can put like 6 mics. We recorded all the shows of the tour, during that year, and pick the special ones from each.
You just do the Zoom.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a very good device.
Yeah, it's a really good device. So we recorded by ourselves, for that album. But the live, live at the Iridium, recorded by amazing engineers.
From all of your album, I feel one thing, there is no standard jazz. All of your album is your own original songs. There is no standard jazz. There's very famous standard jazz like Mystery, like all the things you are, Day of Viruses. Why?
So first of all, I play a lot of jazz standards. In New York, when I play at a bar or restaurants, like a daily gigs, I play jazz standards all the time. But when I play with my group, I make it a point of playing my original music. Yeah, I have some cover, but like say I did a Scarborough Fair. That's the cover, and also I did Red Dragonfly. That's like an old Japanese song.
But it's not standard jazz.
It's not a standard jazz, right? But I love Thelonious Monk, John Coltrane, Art Blakey, and Jazz Messengers. They play their original music most of the time.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's why that came from. Yes.
From all of your songs, which song that you want the student or jazz guitarist want to transcribe, study, and analyze?
That's a really tough question. Yeah. If you have like 10 kids, and then like you cannot choose like I love this guy because I think I can't choose one.
Okay.
I love them all.
Okay. Transcribe every song.
Yes, transcribe every song. Or like songs that you love.
Okay, this question is about jazz player beginner. When the jazz player for the beginner want to improvisation or want to improvise, want to play jazz live, someone maybe play the jazz like a scale up and down is not jazz language. Please give me some advice.
You know what? Actually, learning scales, chords, and triads. Those are really good tools. You can't really make anything just with tools, right? You have a tool, but you have to have imagination. Especially when a jazz beginner, but who's been playing the guitar already. I would say just learn the melody of any song.
Okay.
Just like that. Do you feel it's? You don't feel that way. It's like it's an A flat major scale, but it's already a language because it's a melody. So I think learning the melody is always great because like when you listen to Charlie Parker. He plays like a lot of like phrases based on honeysuckle rose or something like that. So and then worried about what scale you can find based on the phrase.
Okay, you play Donnelly.
Yeah.
There is a lot of chromatic.
Yeah.
This is a big problem about a jazz guitar player. The chromatic line and Be Bop Line.
Yeah.
Please give me some advice about it. This.
The chromatic note?
Yeah.
I'm still working on it though. I'm still working on the melody. But the chromatic is actually a part of the melody, right? So you don't want to use like some chromatics like, okay, so I'm going to play chromatics, major scale with chromatic. It's more like you just, you have your melody and, you kind of embellish, use those notes as embellishment. So like say, let's take the, like a really simple song like, Twinkle Twinkle Little Stars, right? So, instead of actually starting from chromatic notes, you just use
Okay.
Now you are using chromatic notes to come up with something more interesting, I hope.
It's something like when Miles Davis says, don't be afraid the wrong note.
Yeah, that's right. Like say, when I improvise with like like if I'm to improvise over Twinkle Twinkle Little Stars. It sounds like I really meant to do that.
Okay, this is a very good thing from you. It's about shelf chord. It's something like your secret weapon.
No, I learned this from for like Freddie Green,
Okay.
the Count Basie Big Band. It's very powerful. In a sense, it's when you're at the fifth or like one extra note. To me, it's too much. I'm like. I feel like I'm saying the same thing, but I feel like space, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, for the next, how did you make yourself relax when you play in a very fast tempo or the slow tempo? This is a very big problem.
Yeah.
The fast tempo like the fast swing like a bebop.
Yeah.
The ballad, maybe the 40 BPM.
You mean like faster or slower?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it depends on each personality. Somebody like to be kicked a lot, like somebody might enjoy being in a really hard situation. This is hard, and that sometimes make them happy or excited. Some players feel like, this is too much. How can I do it? If you're not confident enough. So I think the first thing like everyone should do is to know what makes you excited or like what makes you like worried about so many things. Is that because you don't know the changes? Is that because it's fast tempo?
Okay.
Or like is that because of the technique or like and it usually comes down to the lack of preparation. If you don't know the name of this, if you don't know chord progressions, if you don't know the song enough, and then you'll most likely feel it's tight. So it is the key to relax is just to relax. Just don't think about it. And when you think about I have to relax, you are not relaxed.
Okay.
Because like you're like but just relax, as if you're playing tempo or where you're really comfortable with, right? So I think that's really it's very simple, but when you think about it, you lose the point.
Okay, I have one word, more practice.
Yeah, more practice, but yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, you said about change chord progression. What is your process when you want to learn the new standard jazz song?
First of all, when you learn a tune, I think the first thing that you should do is to learn the melody. But say if you learn the melody already and then memorize chord progressions. Chord progression is like a food. You just eat like Japanese food, the taste, and Thai food, and the taste. So say. If that's the chord progression that you wanna hear, you are my everything, or it could be. It's a little different, but it's same taste. So you kind of label chord progressions with the songs that you know. Oh. To me, it tastes like Wave, Antonio Carlos Jobim. It sounds like The Song Is You by Jerome Kern.
This is a very good idea.
Yeah.
Yes. When we practice one song, please remember it.
Yes, from the existing song.
Try to analyze to another songs.
Yeah, that's right. And also, a lot of times, my students have like hard time recognizing notes, but that can be also solved with relating the songs that you know. This is my C major scale, right? Some students have hard time to make a distinction between is this which degree of the scale. Right. But if you can remember this note, which is the root from. This is Twinkle Twinkle Little Stars. Okay. So it's from the root. But if it's from Happy Birthday. So now that's a Happy Birthday, right? So that means it's fifth. Okay. And then if it's from da 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 da, it kind of sounds weird. So it's actually da 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 da. Twinkle Twinkle Little Stars.
Okay. It's something like ear training.
Yeah, ear training, but ear training chord progressions. It's like, like music is like.
So that's why you have to learn jazz or learn.
yeah, or like
maybe you should to learn with Nobuki-san.
That'd be great. Yeah, I can help. I can help, but I need also help too.
This question is about you, as we know you are a great composer. In your opinion, which song in this world from other artists that you think is perfect song and perfect composition?
Wow. It's a tough one. There's so many great ones, but I need to pick one. So Something's Alright by Paul Simon.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a really great song.
Okay. And how about the standard jazz song that you love?
I mean, there's so many. But again, if I need to pick one, I would say All the Things You Are.
Okay.
Because that's
Why?
one of the first songs that I learned.
Okay.
And
it's very hard songs.
It's very hard
because it's so maybe the 5 key.
Yeah. I guess Jerome Kern tried to actually come up with something that was not acceptable, to ordinary listeners back then. But somehow it became a big hit, and I know I can tell why, because the melody is so strong. So even if it's in a different keys, but the melody is strong, so it's easy for us to remember.
I'm so amazing with the melody of this song. It start from the third.
Yeah. So I think All the Things You Are.
Could you give me 3 names of jazz guitar book?
Harmonic Mechanism for Guitar by George Van Epps.
Wow.
There are 3 volumes, so that would be 3. But
okay.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on those. And number 2, I may be wrong, but Approaching the Jazz Guitar by Gene Bartoncini, that comes to my mind. The 2-line Improvisation by Jimmy Weibel. Those 3 books are.
Okay, I know you have a chance to play Montreal Jazz Festival. 2009. One thing I'm so amazing with you on the solo session, you play by yourself alone on the big stage and so many the audience and you play the song like a one big shot.
Yes.
And it's very fast song.
Yeah.
How did you make the meditation or something like I have to arrange for improvisation line or something? It's not exciting.
Yeah, the solo performance at Montreal Jazz Festival in 2009 it was very special for me because that was actually my very first solo concert just to play only original music because I had done a lot of gigs like solo gigs playing jazz standards at places like bars and restaurants where nobody cares. That was like my very first concert, like a big concert.
It's something like a legend, the jazz festival.
Yeah. I was about to be so nervous because from behind the stage, I see hundreds of people waiting. If I play with my trio, there are two other guys to go up.
Yeah. It's friend.
But I'm just guitar and myself get up on the stage. I feel kind of like my fingers are kind of shaking. But I'm kind of good at actually controlling myself because the reason why I get nervous, like for me though, the reason I get nervous is to think about what happens in the future too much or what happened in the past too much. Okay, maybe this. That's like the part I make the mistake back then. So when you think about what you did in the future too, you did it in the past too much, you kind of lose the focus. And then what if I make a mistake and then you will make a mistake? So the key is to focus on the moment. Okay, no, I play this one. So what's next? Okay, what's next? If you just take the small step and then go one by one, steadily, and you'll be fine. So I don't do meditation though.
About this song is really fast.
Right? But I didn't play that song in the beginning. That was towards the end. So I got really warmed up, and then don't ask me to play that one now.
So you have the time to warm up.
That's what I do with my trio too. I don't call really fast tunes in the beginning because my band members need time to warm up, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So and also audience too. If I play in the beginning.
It's really amazing songs.
Oh, thanks.
I saw you play with Satoshi Sensei Satoshi recently. What happened about this?
Every time I get to play with him, it's very special. Lots of players can maybe play faster lines, tricky lines. But one thing that I always learn from Satoshi, two things. One, the importance of listening. He listens all the time. He listens and he reacts. That's one thing. And then the other thing is the importance of melody. His lines are not just a bunch of notes. They all kind of make sense. So it could be sometimes the melody from old songs. And those are the two things that I always learn. And also now this is important because there are a lot of kind of things that make you feel like, okay, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, right? Listen to music. Why we enjoy music is actually the melody, right? Or the rhythm. Nobody says, oh, I love that chord. Maybe guitar players say that, but the melody is really important. Yeah.
I'm waiting for you and Satoshi-san play together and recording on the
That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. He released some albums from What's New Record. That's actually the label that I released first two albums. So we were on the same catalogs.
Okay.
I'll try.
Yeah. Most of jazz musicians want to go to New York to learn jazz. In your opinion, for the present day, we still should go to New York for learn jazz music or not? Because nowadays it's something like there is a lot of the lessons on the social or something. The Asian can find the good school in their own country.
Yeah.
Right.
I think anybody can play any kind of music or like jazz or anything as long as we love. If you really love music that you play, you'll be able to play. And for the longest time, especially when I moved to the States, I'm like, am I swinging really good? But because I grew up in Japan, but I think it's not that. If you really love music, you will get it. So you don't have to come to New York. I mean, it's good. One of the most important things that all the musicians should do is to be surrounded by people you love, and musicians you like to play with. At the same time, New York is its own own kind of thing, right? Because there are great players like just like Peter Bernstein, Russell Malone, Jonathan Kreisberg, Adam Rogers, Ben Monder. I can just keep saying the name of the guitar players, the great guitar players. Experience is,
okay. It's a good thing.
Yeah, one thing. I think we all have to experience. So, when you go to Bangkok, you're gonna you see like a lot of great musicians, right? So I think be there and experience. I think that's great. Instead of actually going online and like see like social media, which is great. It's different, when you go to concert, and I think that's what we all should do.
Okay, you tour a lot everywhere, Asia, Europe, a lot. What is the big problem that you face when you tour?
I had a good problem, I drank too much. That's a good problem because like they say something like, hey, try
so
this.
now in Thailand you have to try the Thai beer.
Thai beer is great. Yeah. I had some. Yeah, it's great. Yes, that's a good problem. But then maybe like I would say traveling with my guitar is tricky. Yeah, so I have my flight case, and do you know like I tag like it's like you can put it like in the case. You put it, and then you can find where your luggage is. So I use iTag, no AirTag. But sometimes I have to check my guitar, but I don't like to do it because sometimes on the next day I have to play, or like on the same day I arrive, I need to play. But if the guitar is not coming with me, that's a problem. Yeah, that might be one. Airline companies in Europe seem to be very good with musicians.
Okay.
They are very supportive. But I don't like to say this, but the Japanese airline, they are so strict on the rules.
Okay.
So sometimes they're like, you have to check your guitar. What happened when you guys break? We cannot do anything. But you have to sign this, like it's a waiver form. So I'm like, wow, but that's the part, tricky part.
What is your gear that you use?
Like the guitar that I use now?
Guitar, effect you use a lot.
Nowadays, yes. So I use my 335.
Yeah, it's a really long time to stay with you.
Yeah, I got this in 1999, made in 1998.
Why you choose 235?
I tried, but at the same time, I love the color.
Okay, you say that.
I love baseball, right?
Yeah.
And my favorite team, Hiroshima.
Okay.
This is the color.
Red.
Yeah, red. So that's one of the reasons. But it's really natural. The neck is great.
Okay, I saw another guitar that you use, Berklee.
Yeah.
How is good?
It's good. McCurdy is so like my friend Rick McCurdy, makes amazing guitar, and Rick actually has been taking care of my guitar, like the 335. So I would bring this to his workshop, and then he's gonna set he does setting up and stuff. But I knew that he's a great luthier, so I wanted to get a guitar made by him. And I think 2020.
It's really expensive.
2012.
It's really expensive.
Yeah. But it was okay, back then though. Yeah. So I asked him to make one, and that's the guitar that you saw.
So the first time I saw the McCurdy guitar when John Abercrombie he played this brand.
Yeah.
Wow, what is this guitar?
Yeah.
So amazing sounds. It seemed like Rick McCurdy he had the chance to fix the Angelico and something like this, and he adapt it his own style.
Yeah, I think so. And he always works with guitar players. Like say he made for guitars for John Abercrombie, and he made guitars for Sherry Bailey. Yeah. But I think they're kind of working together to come up with the model, right? And Rick actually made guitar for Jimmy Weibel.
Yeah.
Too. So he's not like making guitar and then just giving to sell. He makes guitars for players. So when I asked Rick to make my guitar, I asked him to just make the shape of the neck the same as my 335.
But normally you play the C shape. So I mean the C,
C
shape.
yeah.
Or C or D. Or like C to D.
Something.
A little bit D.
Yeah.
Okay, how about your effect and amp?
Effect. I use.
You change all the time.
Yeah, but
I saw you make the video clip at Lick Landau on the show channel.
Let me just bring it though. Okay, so. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, you're in Thai.
So yeah.
So you have the old one that your daughter.
Yes, my daughter actually.
It's beautiful art.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, so that was H9, and now I have H90.
Yeah.
From EP.115, right? So basically, it's a 2 H9, right? So I use for delay and some special effects like univibe or like reverse delay. And I recently started using tape echo to get that tape sound because I grew up I grew up listening to tape.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make my guitar sound like tape. So I started
It's
using
really warm sound.
Yeah, that's right. I changed
Flint.
pedals, but the flint, flint is always I use.
From Steinman?
Yes, Strymon. Because it's basically to make my guitar sound like a coming out from like a Fender Twin reverb. You have like a reverb sound. That's being always on my pedal board, and then like H92. And for this tour, I started using this Source Audio.
Yeah, this is a really good one.
Yeah. This is
for boot.
Yeah.
Clean boot.
Clean boost. Yeah, and then I can get like a tape echo. I like Echoplex. And different kind of boost, so it's very, it's very handy.
In your channel, you use JHS.
Yeah, JHS.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, what? Okay.
I didn't bring it to Thailand this time, but I use that. That's a DIY. Not a clone by JHS. That's a pedal that you can make. So I made it with my daughter as a kind of family project.
It's really cute.
Yeah, and then I asked my daughter to write the center, just like the clone. Center. Yeah.
Which album that you listen to and change your life forever?
I would say Unplugged by Eric Clapton. I was just playing and play chords and sing some songs. When I started playing the guitar. But after I heard that album, I'm like, oh, you can solo. Just guitar can be played like like this, right? But when I hear like his song, he was soloing, so like I'm like, wow, like what is that? And then that actually really got me into blues, and then blues got me into jazz. So I think Unplugged changed my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
For nowadays, who is the artist that you listen to at the moment?
I've been listening to Bartok. The classical composer from Hungary.
Why you turn to classical?
I think I like to listen to music from the countries where I visited. Last year I got to go to Hungary, so I started listening music from Hungary. Some opera from like Italy.
What is the first thing that you get into your mind when you listen to them?
Listen to like Bartok. Okay. The more you listen to music, the more you realize that the music is like food, like I said in the middle. So if you love the country and if you love the culture, the food and people, music will bring that memory. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's one thing.
What is the most important thing that musician, jazz, guitar, or guitar player should pay attention, but they are not?
I don't know about they are not part, but what they should pay attention is, I think, always listening. All the great players, they are amazing listeners. But, when you actually try to learn how to play jazz or improvise, you focus more on like what to play. You have to understand what other people are saying to say, right thing back. You know what I mean? Like when somebody say, hey, good morning, but you don't want to say, I'm hungry. It's weird. You really listen to other people, like the musicians you play with, or like recordings. Let us kind of realize what we have to do. So what we have to do should come after you understand what other people are saying. But of course, like you can just say something and then they will tell you. Just like learning the language. When you're little, maybe you just try to kind of copy what other people are saying. Could be something weird, but So I think maybe this is good thing. So when you play with somebody who's not experienced in jazz, if you're really good enough, you have to support what beginners trying to do. You don't want to say, hey, you don't sound like jazz, or you have to do this. Just be there and then just listen until they get it. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. But listening is important.
Very good one.
Yeah.
Thank you so much ขอบคุณมากครับขอบคุณครับ Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me here.
นี่นะครับคือบทสัมภาษณ์จากเซนเซนะครับอีกท่านหนึ่งนะครับที่สุดยอดมากนะครับกับคุณโนบุกิซังนะครับแล้วก็รอติดตามอัลบั้มชุดใหม่ๆผลงานใหม่ๆนะครับ If someone want to learn with you or someone want to follow you how they should
You can always find everything on my website www.nobukitakamen.com.
Okay.
And then you can contact me about any questions about on my videos on YouTube or like any questions in general.
On YouTube Nobuki.
Yeah, there's a link to
Okay.
my YouTube channel too.
Okay. There is so many lessons on YouTube. ก็อาจารย์โนบุกิซังเนี่ยครับเขาก็มีบทเรียนมากมายเลยครับบน YouTube นะครับลองไป follow ดูนะครับถ้าใครชอบดนตรีแจ๊สนะครับและสำหรับเทปนี้นะครับผมต้องขอบพระคุณนะครับวิทยาลัยดนตรีมหาวิทยาลัยรังสิตนะครับที่เอื้อเฟื้อสถานที่แล้วก็บุคลากรที่สุดยอดเช่นอาจารย์โนบุกิซังนะครับเทปนี้ผมต้องลาไปก่อนนะครับแล้วรอชมว่าเทปหน้าผมจะไปสัมภาษณ์ดนตรีท่านไหนนะครับเทปนี้ผมและอาจารย์โนบุกิซังลาไปแล้วครับสวัสดีครับ